Welcome to the final pack in this series, Foundation Revision Pack 10. Question 1a. We've got a class that has 40 students and 9 of those students have blue eyes. We need to write this as a percentage. What percentage have blue eyes? To write something as a percentage, first write it as a fraction. So what fraction have blue eyes? Well, there are 9 out of 40 students, 9 out of 40. To turn it into a percentage, times by 100. So on your calculator, 9 divide 40 multiplied by 100. Type all that in and you'll get 22.5%, which is the answer. Question 1b, if you didn't get 1a right, so very similar, but we've got 15 out of 24 marks for a test, so it's 15 out of 24. If we want to write that as a percentage, as in what percentage did they score, times it by 100, so 15 divide 24 times 100. Type all that in on a calculator, should come out at 62.5%. Question 2a, we've got some equations to solve with x's on both sides. In this first one, most x's are on the left, 5x is more than 3x, so we're okay to go on. So to get rid of this 3x, we take 3x from both sides. And on this side, we'd be left with 2x plus 8. And on this side, when you get rid of that 3x, you're just left with 20. Now we take 8 from both sides. So we end up with 2x equals 12, and then finally divide 2 on both sides, so you're left with x equals 6. This one's slightly different. 7x is on the right and 4x on the left, so there are more x's on the right hand side. So to deal with that, we're going to take this 7x subtract 9, and we're going to actually write it first on the left hand side, and we'll take this 4x plus 15 and write it second on the right hand side. So we just switched it round so that we have more x's on the left, because that's what we're used to. So to get rid of the 4x, take 4x from both sides, and that side as well, and you're left with 3x subtract 9 over here, and on this side 15. So to get rid of the 9, we add 9 to both sides to get rid of the negative 9, so we've got 3x equals 24, and then finally divide both sides by 3, and you're left with x equals 8, which is the answer. Question 2b, if you found any of that difficult, we're going to take 2x from both sides. On this side we'd be left with 4x plus 11, and on this side 23. Then we'll subtract 11 from both sides, so we're left with 4x equals 12, and then finally divide both sides by 4. And you're left with x equals 3, which is the answer. This one again, write it the other way around, so we get more x's on the left, so take that 8x, subtract 9 and write it first, and then take the 3x plus 16 and write that second. Then carry on as normal, so we'll take 3x from both sides. On this side you're left with 5x subtract 9, this side 16, plus 9 to both sides, so we're left with 5x equals 25, and then x equals 5 when you divide by 5 on both sides. Question 3a then, it says describe the transformation that maps shape A onto B. So first of all we're going to decide what happened to the shape. Now I can see that it hasn't turned around or flipped over or changed size at all, it's just moved. It's an identical shape, it's just been moved across there. We call that a translation, and you need to write that down to get the first mark. So translation. Now we need to give the vector that it was translated with, so translation with vector, and then we need to make that decision. So pick a point on the shape. I'm going to go for this bottom right one here, and the same point on the other shape, and it's crucial that it's the same point. And let's work out what happened. So it went 1 square right, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8 right, and then 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 down. So that's a vector 8, and then negative 5. You could also do this with tracing paper. I'd recommend you at least check with tracing paper. So trace the shape, move it across and down, and you should get the same vector. 3b, describe the transformation for this shape. So this one hasn't been translated because the shapes look a little bit different. It's actually been reflected. So it's a reflection in the line, and we need to give the line that it was reflected in. Now if you pick these two corresponding points here, you can count the squares, and they're actually 8 squares apart. So 4 squares apart must be here. That's where the mirror line goes through. So the mirror line went down there. That line has equation x equals 1, not y equals 1, because it crosses the x-axis. Question 4a, solve these. The first thing you do is expand the bracket, so 6x plus 30 equals 54. Then take 30 from both sides, so 6x equals 24. divide both sides by 6, you get x equals 4. This one, same idea, so 7 times 2x, 14x, subtract 21 equals 49. Now add 21 to both sides, and you'll get 70, and then divide both sides by 14. Remember, you've got to calculate for this question, and that will give you x equals 5. 4b, expand these again, so 8x minus 24 equals 56. 8x equals, add these together, and you'll get 80, therefore x was 10. This one here, 18x plus 45 equals 81. And now subtract 45 from both sides, so we get 18x equals, take 45 and you'll get 36. Therefore x equals 2. Question 5a. We need to find this angle here, x. So the first thing I would do is work out this angle here by using the fact that these two are on a straight line. So 180 subtract 132 equals 48. Now notice it said give reasons for your answers. So that equals 48 degrees, and the reason was angles on straight line add to 180 degrees. So that's reason number 1, and that gave us this as 48. This angle here is also 48 because that's an isosceles triangle. So reason number 2 is the base angles, it's the ones at the bottom there, in an isosceles triangle are equal. So they're both 48. So now what we do to work out the final angle x is take these two away from 180. So 180, take 48, take another 48, equals 84, which is the answer. So this angle here would be 84 degrees, and the reason for that one was that angles in a triangle, just like a straight line, add to 180 degrees. Question 5b then, quite similar but slightly different at the same time. It's basically backwards. So we're starting with this angle here and we need to find x. So the first thing we do is 180 take 32, which equals 148 degrees. That gives us both of these two angles make 148 degrees, and the reason for that one was angles in a triangle add to 180 degrees. Now if these two add up to 148 but they're both the same, we can half that. So base angles in an isosceles triangle are equal. So we do 148 divide 2 equals 74. That gives both of these at 74 degrees. Now we're almost there. The last thing to do is 180 take 74, which equals 106, which gives us the answer to x. X is now 106. And the reason for that is that angles on a straight line add to 180 degrees. Okay, question 6a. So we've got a diagram here of a path around the side of a house, and we want to cover it with gravel, and we've got some information on the price of gravel and how much it covers. So the first thing I will do here is work out the area of this path. So I'm going to split this compound shape into two like this. And this is shape A, and this is shape B. So shape A is going to be 11 multiplied by 1.5, which is 16.5, and that's meters squared. So we did 11 times 1.5. Shape B a little bit harder because we don't know either of these lengths. So this length here must be 11 take 7.5, which is 3.5, and this height here up there must be the whole 3.5 take the 1.5, which is 2. So shape B is 3.5 times 2, which equals 7 meters squared. So the whole lot, if you add those up, is 23.5 meters squared. Now each bag covers 2.4 meters, so if we do the 23.5 that we've got to cover and divide that by 2.4 meters squared on your calculator, you'll get 9.79 and some more. So it will need 9.79 bags. Now you can't buy 9.79 bags, so we'll need 10 bags is what we'll need. And it says how much will it cost? Well, if a bag is £6.45, then we need 10 of them, so we need £6.45 times 10, which is £64.50. Okay, question 6b. So once again we'll split the shape A and B, and A would be 14 times 3, which is 42 meters squared, and B, with a bit of calculation, the height here 6.5 take 3 is 3.5, and this bit here 14 take 18.2 is 5.8, so we're going to do 3.5 times 5.8, which is 20.3, and that's meters squared as well. And if we add these guys together, we get 62.5 meters squared. So we've got 62.5 meters squared to cover, but each bag only covers 3.5, so we work out how many bags by dividing 60.5 by 3.5, which comes out as 17.28, and there's more to that. But again, we can't buy 17.28 bags, we'll have to buy 18 bags. So we'll do 18 bags, and we multiply it by the price of a bag, £7.25, we get our total, which is £130.50. Next question, find the area of this semicircle. So we're going to use pi times radius squared here. So it's pi times 6 squared, because 6 is the radius of that circle, half of the 12th, and that comes out as 113.097 and some more. If we take that number that's on your calculator screen and you divide that by 2, because it's only half a circle, you'll get 56.5 centimeters squared when it's rounded. Question 7b, so again we're going to do pi times 7 squared this time, because we're already given the radius. It comes out as 153.938, and carrying on, and we take that number that's on your screen and divide that by 2, and you should round that to 77.0 centimeters squared. Be careful with the rounding on that one. On to question 8a then. Describe the relationship between the two variables. Well, you could draw a line of best fit on this, showing that as paper 1 score goes up, so does paper 2 score. This will be a positive correlation. And use the graph to estimate a person's score if they miss 35 lessons. That shouldn't say miss 35 lessons, that should say scored 35 on paper 1. So let's just imagine that's what it was. On paper 1, 35 is about here. So we go up from 35 until we hit our line of best fit. Then we go straight across from there, and I get 35 again. So depending on your line of best fit, you may have drawn it slightly different. You'll probably get something between 30 and 40, but remember to show you're working out by going up and across. Question 8b, again we can describe the relationship. This time the line slopes down that way. That's a negative correlation. And this time the question is correct. Use the graph to estimate a person's score if they miss 35 lessons. So lessons miss 35. And if you go up from 35 and across again, I get once again about 35 as a score on the test. So again, probably somewhere in between 30 and 40. Question 9a, describe the transformation. This shape has been rotated, and you probably check that easily with tracing paper. So draw shape A, and the best way to do this is to just guess points, put your pen on different points, and turn the tracing paper until it hits there. Turns out that this one will fall perfectly if you put your pen at 1, 3 here. So the full description is a rotation, and it's gone this direction, that's anti-clockwise, and it would be a quarter of a turn because the shape's turned a quarter of a turn, so 90 degrees, and then about the point, and you give the coordinates at that point 1, 3. So it'll be 1 mark for this, 1 mark for this, and 1 mark for this. 9b, describe this transformation. Well, hopefully it's obvious that the shape's been enlarged, and the easiest way to find how it's been enlarged is to draw ray lines on. So draw a line that goes through these corresponding points and then these corresponding points, like so, and you end up with this point here, which it was enlarged about. So it was an enlargement. Writing that will get you a mark. The scale factor, we've got to work that out. That's how much bigger the shape's got. Well, if it's 3 along the base here, and this base has now gone up to 9, must be scale factor 3 because it's been multiplied by 3. And the centre of enlargement is coordinates 5, 5, which is this point here. Question 10a, what fraction of these students chose basketball? Well, this here is 90 degrees, and you should know that that's 1/4 of the circle, so it's 1/4. There are 36 students in the class. How many chose tennis? So what we're saying here is the whole pie chart represents 36 students. The amount for tennis is this angle here, and we can work that out by doing 360, take away the 150, and take away the 90. And if you do that, you'll end up with 120 degrees. So the fraction is 120 out of 360, these 120 degrees out of the whole 360, and multiply that by how many students there are, which is 36. If you type all of that in, it should end up with 12 students. Okay, but parts A and B on this are both quite similar to part B on the previous question. So for red, there are 90 degrees out of 360, and we multiply that by the 24 students, and we'll get 6 students for red. And for green, well, we've got to work out the angle again, so do 360, take away the 90, take away the 210, and you'll end up with 60 degrees. So there's 60 degrees for green out of 360 altogether, times that by the number of students, and you'll get 4 students. And that completes this video.